Welcome back to the Photo Banter podcast. I'm your host, Alex Gagne, and on today's podcast, I speak with photographer Alexei Hay. Alexei has worked with clients such as Rolling Stone, Esquire, Elle, and Glamour, to name a few. In this interview, I speak to Alexei about some of his photographic influences, personal projects, as well as his approach to portraiture. Alexei is someone who brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in the photo game and has a true appreciation for the craft and history. So I was really excited to get a chance to speak with him about his photographic journey. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks so much for listening. I now welcome on Alexei Hay. Alexei, how you doing, man? Excited to talk to you. It's been a crazy year, dude. How you hanging in there?
Living large, Alex.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you been shooting?
My boost.
And for everybody listening, if you're watching, Alexei had some hat options. He switched his hat before the interview, so now you got your interview hat on now.
Yeah, I could have a costume change mid-interview.
No,
I've got it all laid out.
I like it, man.
I can't see yours, Alex. Is that an Indians, Cleveland Indians? My eyes.
No, it's like a throwback. It's the Rochester Red Wings, which is like a baseball team. I think like in the early 1900s. It's just like a throwback hat.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I'm out of my league.
Me too. I just like the logo, so I bought it. I don't really know much about it.
I like that.
But yeah, man, I was excited to talk to you. Like, I've seen your work around for years, and I guess, like, what have you been working on lately, man? Like, I know it's kind of been a crazy year with the pandemic and everything, but have you still been able to work and kind of shoot, or how's this kind of photography life been for you, I guess?
Well, right now I'm working on a lookbook for my wife. I'm for my wife, and the lookbook is a cookbook. So it's women wearing her clothes in their kitchens with giving recipes and things that they're making at home while they're going through this.
That's cool, man. Do you and your wife collaborate a lot? I know you mentioned your wife was a fashion designer. Is that you guys kind of work a lot on projects?
You could call it collaborate, but I think I just work for her. No, I do. I really feel like my whole career was just preparation to be able to understand someone like her. Yeah. And it is the most inspired. It's the best work that the most purposeful work that I ever did. And even something like a lookbook, it just has, people spend more time at home, the food, all the women. It's just it's an amazing thing to end up going into all these people's total strangers' houses, into their most sort of interior spot, the kitchen, where everything gets made, goes inside them and sustains them. You just walk in and all of a sudden you're right in it with them, and you have about 20 minutes and you're like smelling what they make, and it's like all the family. So it's kind of amazing.
That's interesting. So who picks, like, so each of the subjects, so your wife is doing the clothes, and then do they pick like a meal that they're preparing, or like who decides what food's going to be in the picture?
Yeah, I think it's up to my wife let them pick whatever but strangely, there are no like family recipes. Everybody's it all just looks like food from when I was a bachelor or a college. It's like nobody's doing any, and people are cooking more, so they're way more accomplished as cooks.
Yeah.
In general, and they're like hungrier too, right? It's like people aren't indulging in anything other than like food and drink. So it's like their appetite for food has gotten like sophisticated and like forbidding. So there's a lot that goes into the food.
Are you much of a cook?
No. But I'm a big eater. I mean,
all right, man. Well, you're in the right city for food, man. New York, you guys got that's the only thing I'm jealous of is the food in New York. Otherwise, I'm sticking out here in the burbs, man. But I'm jealous of all the food you guys got out there.
Yeah, but nobody's been in a restaurant. I mean, I've been in no, I guess I started to go, but it was like, man, 8 months of no restaurants. That was crazy pants.
Yeah, man. Same. I haven't been to one yet. But I noticed I was looking at your Instagram during this whole pandemic. You've been doing like you've been setting up a little studio out in Union Square, just doing like portraits of people, and I think it was like you said, like $50 or a donation, and it all goes to the NY Food Bank. I guess
Hmm.
what made you kind of start doing that, and how's it kind of been just kind of setting up in Union Square?
Yeah, man, my wife just wanted me out of the house, and then it got worse, and she was like, "You should just go stand in the park."
Yeah.
And that was the idea, really. But it was like when she said that, I thought, well, that makes sense. Actually, everything's happening. All this. It was summertime. It was like everything was happening in the streets. People were selling. All the action was out on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something like really seductive about standing out in the park like one of those musicians. What was the word that I learned that when you're a musician playing on the street, there's a word for it. I don't know. It escapes me. Anyway, but it was like just standing in the park, and people would come up, total strangers, and they'd take their masks off. And it was just, that's what photography is about, especially after we'd had masks on for so long, to be able to have a safe space where people could do that, and just a free engagement with a total stranger in a nice way was such a welcome thing for me and for other people. So it was good. It was fun to do. And the remarkable thing about that project was that we have so many preconceptions about people according to their clothing. As soon as you know what kind of shirt somebody wears, or what kind of the way they wear their hair, you already kind of know where they come from economically, ethnically. There's just, you kind of know what they're going to say. But I don't know, when someone takes their mask off and you look in their face, there is no politics to that. There's nothing. It's always mind blowing, a face, when you really look at somebody's face. So yeah, it was good. It definitely was really fun to do after being cooped up.
Are you like someone? Obviously, you do like a lot of assignment work. You shoot for Rolling Stone, Glamour. You do commercial work. But are you like the type of photographer that always just kind of needs like a little side project you're always kind of working on, or does it just kind of come when the inspiration hits, or how do those projects usually come about for you?
Yeah, man. I've never finished a side project, but I always have a side project. I'm sure at the end there's some big book of just all these failed side projects. Do you I looked at your stuff too, man. That's all the baseball stuff and the Cuba stuff.
Oh,
Did
thanks, man.
you go to Cuba because of the baseball?
No, I
How'd you
actually I didn't even shoot. The baseball was in Cape Cod. I wanted to go shoot baseball in Cuba, but when I was there, the season wasn't going on, so I went down there with my friend, because I grew up skateboarding, and they kind of work with this nonprofit called Cuba Skate, which basically helps all the local skaters in Cuba get skateboards and shoes and wheels because with the embargo they can't get it. So I just went down there for a week and just kind of shot the skaters and then some of
Wow.
the local people and stuff. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that looks cool.
yeah, man. And I saw with the Union Square portraits, you were shooting it all 4x5.
Hmm.
Are you still shooting mostly like film for even your editorial work these days, or?
Whenever I can, and I don't know what the reason is. I mean, it's just there's so many different ways of talking about it, but
Yeah.
you know, it's almost like a faith-based thing. I just believe in film. It might be because I'm already so invested in it over the years that I'm
Mm-hmm.
just wary of the new stuff. But I think that there's something special about, anything digital is just, it's like digital media. There's so much of it, just infinite feeds, infinite information, and you never really get to absorb any of it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you do things with a digital camera. You can shoot endlessly, but you never get the picture. So it's like our minds were made to deal with finite parcels of things. And it's like there's something about having a roll, knowing you have to get it within that roll. And right now, even without Polaroid, it's even more focused.
Yeah.
Like, definitely believe in the process, and also just the magic of grain and, all that stuff. I love it.
Yeah, man. It's been interesting to see like films been getting like almost like more popular than ever. Like I see more and more people shooting film lately, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's good, man. I still got my good old Hasselblad back here, man. I bring that thing out, man. It's a good time, dude.
Hmm.
I was looking at your Instagram, man. I think it said like 10 years ago, you built a large format slit camera. Um, Maybe you could describe for people listening. I actually had to research. I had never seen a slit camera. But what made you kind of want to build one of those, I guess?
Oh, wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
like you and another photographer, I think it said on your
yeah,
Instagram.
this guy Donald was an amazing camera inventor, kind of, or
Hmm.
fabricator, and basically, it's if you remember those pictures of Lartigue of oh, hold on, my battery's running low. Let me just plug it in.
No, you're good.
Um, okay. Those pictures of Lartigue with the race car, where
Hmm.
the car is actually like looks like it's bending with the speed.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
It's a
definitely. Yeah, it's famous picture.
so so that was taken with like a Graflex, where the shutter is not like one of our leaf shutters that we're so used to. It's just a slit that goes across the plane of the film plane.
Because I think this is one of them. You did a picture of Beck. That's with the slit camera, right?
Oh wow, look at you. Yeah. So that's like a slit camera.
Mm.
And I was into the idea of, yeah, just a complete, like, you're almost making material time. Like you're photographing one place over 5 seconds, and it's almost like some weird way of materializing time itself. I don't know, whatever. I mean, initially that stuff was used for horse races,
Yeah.
which I thought was really funky. Like you can actually see the slit in the camera was lined up with the finish line, and they would spool the film across that slit at a pace, I guess, concurrent to the speed of the horses, and that would be a more accurate way of telling who finished the race first. But of course, the spatial relations of the horses were not real. They were all dependent on like a temporal. I don't know. It's complicated stuff. But I thought if you could photograph passersby, like on the street photography, like take the tradition of street photography,
Hmm.
and instead of doing it on about a place, it's more just about some weird abstraction of place into just pure time, and just have pedestrians walk by a slit and see if you could have them captured. It didn't work, but there were some pretty wild like accidents.
Yeah, but that's like the fun of it. Because even like, I mean, you've been doing photography a long time. Like, is it what kind of keeps you interested in doing this? And are you still just kind of like fucking around with new stuff every year just to see what happens with like stuff like that? Or like, how do you kind of what kind of keeps you interested in it, you think?
Yeah, I mean it's weird you say it because I guess there always is some kind of like side project that is process heavy.
Hmm.
Like recently I've been playing with this 2024 camera where it's just, and I always like, when I started, I gravitated towards big cameras because it was almost like overcompensating for like not knowing anything. You just want to show everybody you got the big camera. But so I don't know if I'm going back to that because at a moment of insecurity, but the 2024 is this, the way it renders detail is so, it's so insane, especially at a time when digital photography, it's getting almost too detailed. It's so beyond accurate, but it's a different kind of precision.
Yeah, it's
You know,
like I always tell people like with the I shot the Sony one time, those new cameras, and they're like so sharp. Like I don't know if you ever remember when like Blu-rays came out. Like
mm-hmm.
I couldn't watch Blu-ray movies because it was like too sharp and it almost like gave me a headache because it like seemed too ultra real. And it's like
Yeah,
with some of the new Sony cameras, I used my friends and I was like, man, this is like way too sharp, man. It's like giving
yeah,
me a headache.
yeah. You got to find a way to like dull it down or do something. And yeah, even scanning film, I find is almost too, it's bringing out, it's almost interpolating some other thing that's not there. Like when you make a regular print from film,
Yep.
it's never that kind of like crunchy. So it's, yeah, it's an interesting time for that. But yes, 2024 camera, let me think what else. I got lost in an abyss of infrared film, like testing, shooting, and I really went down a rabbit hole for years. And it came down to the fact that I was trying to capture people's venal system, like their veins through their skin. And like it was an application for that film early on by doctors to study like blood flow problems. And I got totally obsessed that this was a way that I could see through people and see there some kind of like, other energy emanating from them or something. And, certain skin types, certain types of physiological, it would show up better on certain people than others.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was really just, no matter how much I practiced or did tests, at the end, I realized it was all just determined by blood sugar. Like if you get somebody a Coca-Cola or you get them drunk or something like that.
Oh, here we go, babe. I got a Coke, man. Let's get it.
You can do it with infrared cameras, with digital cameras. They're all infrared sensitive.
Yeah.
You could take your shirt off right now. I wonder if I could jerry rig
yeah. No, it is interesting. Did you ever mess with I shot with Kodak made a color infrared slide film for a while. Did you mess with that one?
Yeah. So there's a guy I can hip you the number to him that's still rolling that stuff. And that's it. I mean, what you can see on a bot, like through, you're really almost going through the first layer of skin. And so, and I got into no one had ever done this. And I was, it was just, in the end, it was like, I ended up photographing a friend of mine who was pregnant, and pregnant women have twice as much blood in their bodies.
Yep.
It's kind of macabre, but so it's like the results, if you're going for that kind of, if you're trying to show something, the inner parts of a person, that's the ultimate subject. And then I just got freaked out, like, well, what is this? And the girl liked the picture. It wasn't anything horrible, but I was just like, oh, photographing naked pregnant chicks, this just seems wrong.
Yeah.
So I just left it alone.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
But if you ever want to do, I can give you some formulas for like how to process it and everything.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, I want to try to. There's a bunch of stuff I just never tried. I need to get to it. Like just fucking around with like glass plate stuff, like tin types. I've never done it, but there's more resources to learn how to do it than ever. Like you can go on YouTube and shit.
There's a guy in Soho that does it out of his car.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, you can't make it any bigger. It's like that was one other project where I wanted to photograph the sun. Forgot what it was, but like through a pinhole, and I needed like a room the size of a football field to track the sun, and the sun in a tin type becomes, it was a palladium. Well, no, not palladium. What was it? What's the other one? What's the really intense plate? The one that's not collodion.
What I was thinking, selenium.
No. Anyway, whatever. It was one of those things where I needed a room the size of a football field to enlarge a picture of the sun, like to photograph the sun and just track that over a certain amount of time. Because how you see pictures of stars, like time-lapse pictures of stars, and you see the arc, like the rotation, but you rarely ever see that of the sun.
Yeah.
Like if you ever see a time-lapse picture of the sun from down here, it's
too bright.
Because it's too bright. And actually what you have to go through to filter your lens is crazy. You have to shoot it through something that's almost totally opaque.
Yeah, a lot of ND for that.
Oh yeah, you can hurt yourself. I love that. One of those things, you just blind yourself.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, it's crazy. It's cool you're fucking around with it, man. You're like a little mad scientist over there that's fucking around with
I've done that for a long time. I'm just working for my wife right now.
Dude, hey man, hey, you're shooting some cool projects, man. It's working. You shot the cover for New York Magazine from a plane, I believe. So your wife's steering you in a good direction, I guess.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, those are, yeah.
What was
The New York Magazine, that was super fun to do. And that's, you know, the, the, the whole metabolism of work has changed so much,
hmm
and who I work with. And I'm kind of going, kind of all the old relationships I had with photo editors. It's kind of like now not who your friends are, but who kind of, I don't know. It's anyway, the photo editor there is. Did you ever have a photo editor that kind of like whenever you worked for that person, you knew it was going to be better than if you had done it by yourself, or just
yeah,
sometimes there are photo editors that make you bring up your game.
yeah, definitely like the ones that are, obviously I get it because like some a lot of photo editors now are doing like multiple magazines. Like I know one friend, she like photo edits like 3 different magazines, so it's like everything's just fast paced, so they don't like have the time to actually sit down with every photographer and like actually get to collaborate. But like, yeah, when you do get the chance, like I've definitely had that. Like I did a thing for Victory Journal, which is like this like magazine in Brooklyn that comes out twice a year. But it was
Mm-hmm.
like really interesting because I never usually it's just like half the time, I don't know about you, I don't even talk to the editors on the phone. It's just through email, like here's what we want, here's what day it is, and it's never like really like a conversation at all. But with this, it was like we talked on the phone for like an hour, like multiple times about like this is what we wanted to do, like and all this, and it was just it made it more fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. And I get anyway. Like the photo editor there was someone I worked for like years before in the New York Times magazine, and she's just someone that's a real intense, won't take no for an answer, but at the same time totally trusts you and knows when to just let you do your thing.
Yeah.
But you know, and the weird thing is, after we shot that picture from the plane, she told me that I lived in her building like 20 years ago. And the fact that she'll still work with me after having been my neighbor is pretty, that's, but she said, on 9/11, you were walking around the halls, like kind of lost, and you came into my apartment to watch the TV to understand what was going on.
Wow.
And she told me this after we had just taken this other picture that was really about this other kind of thing that all of New York had gone through. And it was I don't know, it was kind of, no, that was the best part of that picture, is that the realizing that we had both been through these two things together, and that she had been nice to me, back in 9/11. That was like really,
Yeah.
anyway. That's kind of to me what that picture is about. Personally, it's like the way, that's what New York is about.
Yeah, you guys like been living there that long and been through all these things, and you're still like in the photo game, like the photography. Man, I mean, you've been doing it longer than I have, but even like I've been doing this 12 years, and it seems it just gets tougher and tougher by the year. There's like less magazines, and then a lot of magazines. I used to do 12 issues a year. Now they're doing 6. Some are seasonal, so it's like 4 issues. So it's just like
Yeah.
it gets
I mean,
tough.
you got to tell me what's the draw? Why would you want to become a photographer now?
Yeah.
It's like when everybody's a photographer, it's an interesting thing psychologically. Like now I'm going to be a professional. Like, I
hmm
don't know. There's so many professionals.
Yeah. What keeps you doing it, man? Like, do you ever think about doing something else or like?
Well, I think I'm thinking more about books, because books are still something that's, everybody can take a couple of good pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the beauty of photography and cameras. But there are very few books that I still keep. The books that are forever. I don't know if you can pull one of those off. That's that's something that's, I don't know. I think that's, for me, that's what I'd like to do.
This
I
kind
don't know,
of
do you print any of your stuff and put them in a,
Yeah,
in
I still got my Epson over here, and I got like a printed portfolio. Never like done like a real book, just because you gotta have a lot of money to do that.
right,
I've done the blurb. I've tried all those like online ones like Blurb, Adorama Books,
right,
but they're never as good as like you got the Avedon book with the Italian paper and the binding and all that.
mm-hmm,
It's like another level. But yeah, man, I still print for sure.
mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, who needs another photo book, right? Unless it's something, I don't know, what are you adding to the discourse with one more? Look at all the people I shot, who I hung out with. Look at all these.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that mean? We've seen everything at this point. So what do you have to? And I think it's like, what is it? How does it relate to your life? Or how do you? That's what I've been kicking over. How to sculpt a story out of a life lived, or like taking pictures. But I don't. Does that mean I have to write about it? I don't know. But I
Like
think that's the only thing that differentiates my pictures, just that it was me and not somebody else.
when you think about like putting a book together, like obviously you've shot all these like celebrities and stuff, but that's not all you shoot. Like envisioning, obviously, yeah, it's a work in progress, but like, do you envision just putting your personal work in a book or some of your assignment work, or like, what's your kind of dream vision of it at this point, you think?
Well, I think, when your life is like, your life is pretty much, it's got to be totally immersed in pictures all the time, right? So it's
Mhm.
like there's no division between your personal life and your professional life.
Yep.
That's, I work on pictures of my family and my wife,
Yep.
and then I do like the work stuff for my wife. But it's all kind of this goes together, and it
Mhm.
also is woven into, just even that story with the photo editor, Jody Kwan, what she did in 9/11 for me with this, how it came to this picture. It's all part of the same like fabric.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I wouldn't try to separate. But I'm running low on the battery. Hold on. Why isn't this working? Hold
No
on. You know what? I
worries.
got. Hold on.
You're good.
Sorry. Hold on. It's not plugged in. Hold on. That's
There
why.
you go. I like it, man. That's just adding drama to the podcast. That's just that was a cliffhanger right there, man. That
Wait
was a
till I
real
take my
cliffhanger.
shirt off.
We uh
Yeah, I don't know. But the book thing is, there's a lot of questions. Like, how do you, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to, why even do another book? It's, yeah, I don't know.
do you collect a lot of photo books?
Um, yeah, I do. I just recently, like, when I got married, I got rid of a lot of stuff
Mm,
because I don't
takes up
know.
a lot of space.
It takes up a lot of space. You have a big library of stuff?
Not really. I've been getting more and more into it. I just got kind of some stuff back here and like some other stuff in boxes, but I have been buying more and more. I do enjoy it. I don't know. It's just I mean, I was gonna ask you this actually, like, some photographers don't really look at other people's work. They try to just focus on their own thing. Other people kind of pay attention to everything. Like, how do you kind of operate? Do you like looking at other photographers' work, or do you try to just kind of focus on your own thing? Or
Hmm. Well, by the time I was already, asking those questions, like, what do how do you purify your vision so that you can bring out your own essence, and all, I was already, I had already like corrupted my eyes, and it's like,
yeah,
I know that they're probably like, I don't know, like South America, there are religions where they believe that if you look at a dead thing, it sort of stains you forever.
mm-hmm.
If you see a dead body. And I do believe that there are things you can look at that have an irreversible effect. And I definitely looked at too many things. So I never tried to, I worked, when I first started, I used to work for Bob Richardson, like Terry Richardson's father.
Wow,
And he made a point of being on a strict visual diet of nothing. There was no magazines because it could kind of influence him or somehow dilute his personal vision. And that was like one. And there were all those old timer guys that were like that. There were, but I don't know. I was so omnivorous with image. I was trying to take pictures. I was trying to take pictures from all different genres, like whether it was porn, science photography, like corporate portraits, and put them into fashion pictures. It was almost like this big place to cannibalize everything. So I was voracious with anything. I was collecting all sorts of like annual reports with like even male porn, which is not but it was just that type of photography was so unusual.
Yeah.
And it all got mixed in. But I don't know, later on, I mean, there is definitely something that I think about now about, and I guess it's, it's more of it comes from religion, or it's like a spiritual orientation, that you need to like watch what you look at, and that you can actually see better if you sort of control what you look at. If
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, I look at I still got these like old photo albums, like this, like the cheap albums you can buy at like a convenience store like CVS or like Walmart,
Mhm.
and it's like maybe you had one for your like as a kid growing up. I used to buy those, and they'd have the plastic sleeves. You could put the 4x5 like
Sure.
prints you got
Yeah.
from CVS, and I still look at those photos from when I was first starting. I just had a point and shoot camera, and I was just learning photography. I honestly think I was more creative then than I am now, because like I feel like once I started to make the decision, like, oh, I want to like make this a career and try to make money from it, you instantly start thinking differently, because like
Right.
you said, you start looking at like, oh, my goal is to shoot for whatever Time Magazine or GQ, and you start
Mhm.
thinking like, how do I get from this point to that? And then it almost like it makes it almost too serious sometimes. It almost, you overthink it, I think, sometimes. Whereas when I look at those old photos, I was like, man, I was just having fun. Like I was just shooting random shit, and it was just like I wasn't thinking about any commercial.
In the arc of a career, you're lucky if you if you deal with all the things that influenced you,
Mhm.
the anxiety of the influence, and all the people that kind of you looked up to, and how that got like that fucked up what you did. If you can work through all that stuff and get back to why you picked up a camera and why you were just what you were doing when you were just effing around, then you've arrived. Then you can play, and then you can kind of like feel like that's sort of, you've achieved something there. I mean, and that's, yeah. So you should, those are important. Those are kind of like the signposts. Those are the things that the messages you send to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I think I
Yeah.
definitely.
No, definitely. This keeps it fun. Cause like looking at you, a lot of people like dream about shooting like the cover of Rolling Stone. There's plenty of photographers that could probably on their bucket list, and you've done that. I think you shot Howard Stern. I'm sure you shot some others. Um, did you ever view like photography like? Were you like a competitive? Did you ever view it like that way, or were you to get to that point, or no? Because some people could look at it as competitive industry, like, oh man, if he's doing that, I want to do that. Or did you not even think like that?
Mm, well, I knew I wanted to cause confusion, and I wanted to do it at a high level. I wanted to like just mess things. I just wanted there was mischief deep in my heart, but I knew that I wanted to like, push it into this world of, there was something just so, I knew that it was all a lie from the very beginning, and that's
What's a lie?
definitely, it's just, I don't know, man. You can listen, the greatest part of having worked with all these people is seeing you definitely are, interacting with people once in a while who have real talent and can sort of teach you something. But for the most part, these people are like, they're super insecure, super sad, super, they've got so many problems. And to be able to look into that, all this pantheon of people that everybody looks up to, and have that kind of like, oh, this doesn't, all this stuff they have doesn't help. That was like the greatest gift of all this life in pictures.
Yeah, it's
But
interesting. It's like human nature. Like people want more, or they think they want more. And even photographers, you do that yourself. You're like, whoa, I'm doing quarter page, but I want to shoot cover. I want to shoot this. And I'm sure like some of these like actors who in our minds are like, man, this guy's a fucking big time actor doing badass movies. But in his mind, he's like, I want more. I want to have this. So it's like, it's a weird like dilemma people have.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. You think people really like, I gotta have more? I mean, I'd rather have less as long
Yep.
as it was better. I don't need the 16 pages. I just do 8 pages, but let it all be good. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, listen, there were people that I looked up to. There were photographers that I looked up to that I got so obsessed with their work that I just wanted to copy it.
Like who are some of your like
Well, there were people like, I mean, when I was just starting it, I saw a book of photographs by Philip Lorca de Corsia,
yeah, legend.
legend, legend, and you get to New York and you go to the one of the two printing labs, and I was working there, and I got to meet him, and then I got to work for him, and of course, all the pictures I was taking from that time just look like total PL we used to joke like PL at B&H prices,
Yeah.
like, and but there's always something that I think that whenever you try to, I mean, I got into looking at pictures by Craig McDean and taking a loop to the eyes of the prints
Mm-hmm.
and trying to study the lighting configuration. We went nuts. And in the end, you always misinterpret somebody else's work whenever you're trying to like copy them.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, you always arrive at something that's, even if you don't mean it, your own. And so all that kind of, and I think in photography, you're allowed to do, you're allowed to like just make it look like an avid, you put somebody like those pictures in the park, put somebody on a white background with
Yeah.
daylight. It's, you're copying Avedon, but still it's like, you're walking in their footsteps, but with different shoes on too. It's, I don't know. I think that's something liberating about the medium of photography, is that this, the demand for originality isn't there, and at least I never felt like that. I was always brazen and just totally appropriating somebody else's work.
It's
And
tough. It's tough because like so much has been done already. So to like truly do something truly creative is like, it happens sometimes, but it's almost for me, it's almost more like, I guess, finding an interesting story maybe that someone hasn't told before. And you might use the same technical thing that Avedon did, or maybe that Robert Frank did, or whatever photographer, but you're telling a different story. But yeah, it is. So it is really, it's like impossible to do something truly creative that hasn't been done before at this point, because it's just so many, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
well, it's like I meet people today who don't have an idea who PL is, or who even, it's like, it's just getting to that point where it's like those guys are, people aren't going to remember, and then it's, you can kind of pretend, do the pictures like them and pretend that they're your, I don't know. There's all sorts of, like, those pictures in the park. No one ever said this is just looks like dime store Avedon. I mean, which it is, and it's,
Oh man, they were dimes. They were good, dude.
I know, but it's so formulaic, man. You put somebody in white, you use Tri-X, you push it 2 stops, and it's like done deal. I mean, the amazing thing in doing those pictures, he did it 8x10,
Yeah.
and I was still having problems with like focus, depth of field, and daylight. And his are flawless, man. 8x10. It's like a feat of wonder. Like it just begs the question of how he was able to do that. Part of it's the emulsion too. Back then you just had more latitude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, I don't know if you noticed how like things are just, they're taking the silver out of film. And paper, everything.
Yeah, it's way different.
It's way different.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's still I mean, this is like a weird analogy. It's like there's a reason why people keep doing the Avedon look or the shooting on white is because it looks good. It's like the same reason like why is a bar always got a cheeseburger on the menu? Because that
Right.
cheeseburger hits every time, man. It ain't gonna
Yeah,
disappoint, dude.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
um,
You master. I'd looked at your pictures. You shoot daylight, right? You get it.
yeah, I
You,
shoot daylight, or if I do use strobe, it's like very like light. It's not much
yeah,
most of
but
the
I've
time.
seen you use north light, right? Like reflected light.
Yeah. Dude, I like the Howard Stern cover you did, and you left the studio window in his
Window.
sunglasses, and you could see the reflectors and stuff.
Yeah, that was a whole negotiation with like the magazine to be able to leave the yeah.
They wanted to Photoshop it black or something.
Well, I mean, like the photo editor there is just up against a bunch of
Yeah, I
I
get
don't.
it.
She's a hero, but
Yep.
it's like and it's so crazy. Rolling Stone used to represent like the independent voice of like rock and roll, like just this counterculture thing, and it's so commercial over there now.
Yeah.
And she's trying. I think she's done a pretty amazing job. Like the fact that we left those things in, that's to her credit. I
No,
don't know.
no, I loved it, man. I was like, it this gave I like any of those weird like behind the scene. It gives you like a behind the scenes of like where you were at. I mean, as a photographer, I eat that stuff up. I don't know if the common person like picks up on it as much, but I love all that type of stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
you were the only person that noticed.
no. Yeah, because I was looking at your website, you have a whole section of musicians. Is like photographing musicians, is that something you've always kind of enjoyed, or was that kind of always a goal of yours to shoot musicians? Or
Well, music was such a big part of my life when I was young
yeah.
that's yeah, man. I mean, now I don't even listen. I'm thinking about getting a phonograph for the kids, like a phonograph, like a record player,
Oh yeah, you can get them. They have like my brother got one for pretty cheap. They have like they sell them all over the place.
right? I think
Yeah.
that'd be fun. But
Yeah.
I don't listen to music. I mean, that you just I used to have CDs. I used to now whatever I don't know what Spotify.
Spotify.
I mean, I can get anything, and I just don't. Just I don't know.
I feel the same way. I'm like, it's like I don't know if you go on Netflix or whatever. I'll spend an hour just looking at shit and then I don't even watch anything. Like because I'm
Yeah,
like just looking at the stuff. And the same thing with
yeah,
music. I was like, think about how crazy is that? If you were a kid in high school, like even like growing up, if you told yourself in like whatever 20, 25 years, you are gonna be in your pocket, you're gonna have every fucking album that they used to sell at Tower Records or whatever record store, you'd be like, yeah, fucking right. Yeah, like it's like so crazy, but yeah, I take it for granted myself.
yeah, and that you wouldn't even want to listen to it.
It's too much stress, like searching through it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But that's the way I feel about shooting digital. It's like you just get it every which way, and then you just you don't like any of it.
Do you end up like you shot all that stuff in the Union Square, the black and white 4x5? Will you end up like printing that, getting like darkroom prints made, or do you just kind of scan it?
So
Or
I work like when I first started, I was really lucky to meet this someone who was a printer, and is David Frawley, and he's kind of like one of the last great printers. And I would go in like hungover to print up to his dark room, and he would let me sit there and lie down on the floor usually. And he had this amazing gray walls. Everything was he's extremely organized, and the lights would go down to would be in the yellow light and I would just talk to him, and he's a great listener, but he's also a great teacher. And he so he has a dark room, and I'm doing a lot more printing, just because over the years I've watched him print so much, and he's allowed me to sometimes print in a corner of his dark room. But I don't know, he's like this Merlin, and I don't know, out in Williamsburg, anybody who wants prints done at at a high level should go speak to him. It's at the Bridge in New York City. It's called the Bridge Photographic. He's a true master. I've no, the beauty of all those silver processes is still something that's just you can never get sick of.
Yeah, definitely. And the guys like that, they're like a dying breed. Like the dudes that really know the craft, know the history. It's like there obviously there's still people doing, but it's fewer and far between that really have that skill set. It's like yeah, I don't know. Hopefully people can keep passing that along and keep it going, you know?
Yeah, that we every generation we just lose a bit of, I don't know, what is it, dude? Like the know-how, or like the, I don't know. It's
I
just
I think at least for me, like, cause I think about this a lot. I feel like my attention span just gets worse and worse because it's just like the
that
phone.
for sure. That for sure. But it's like if you look at rock stars today compared to like the, everybody uses Keith Richards as like the, we know people like from my dad's generation that are just, they could just do more to themselves. They're just more, they
Rugged.
got stamina, and they also have a more like a better sensitivity and attachment to like the physical world than we do. Like David's taught me so much just about light and about the shape of light, all this, no one else has that knowledge that I can think of that's younger. I mean,
Yeah.
try to talk to a kid about shaping daylight. And
Yeah. Man, you get some black, you get some 4x4 floppies, you know, you can go like that, you're a little negative,
yeah,
a little positive, and it's like big bang boom, man.
but it is a concentration. You got to concentrate. You kids can't do that, man. It's
Yeah.
subtle. It's
Yeah. You can definitely get lazy with Photoshop. It's just like, oh, I'll just fucking put another filter on it or do some
right.
weird composite or something like that. It's just yeah, it's different.
Do you do anything to prepare for a photo shoot, or to like if you want to go into like a Spartan kind of like, I'm just gonna live my life to make better pictures? Like, what would you do?
Oh, what
How
do you
would you
mean?
prepare?
How
How
to
would, well, like, some people would say, is it by like reading photo books? Is it like, what do you do? I don't, what do you do to,
I think I think it's just shooting more. It's like photographing more. And it's
right?
just like building because like right now this year has been the worst ever just because with the pandemic, it's like because like I mostly just shoot portraits and a lot of it's the kind of documentary stuff. There's people in their environments. I haven't done any of it since besides like my assignment work, I haven't done any personal work like going to people's houses to shoot photos or anything like that, just to be safe, I guess. So I've been in a rut, man. I feel I feel like
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but like, I feel like I get in a bad mood if I go a while without creating something that like I'm proud of. It doesn't have to be for an
Yeah.
assignment but just something like, I mean, you know that feeling when you finally finish like editing or printing and you got the photo on your screen or the print and you're like, all right, man, I'm pumped
Yeah.
on that one for like
Yeah.
it lasts maybe like 20 minutes or till the next morning, but that feeling,
There's still something there. I got to hold the print, just the stuff on the screen. It just,
yeah,
I, that's what's led me back to the darkroom. Without the print, it's just kind of, you can't, it's something you can hold. It's just kind of meaningless.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in the lobby of my apartment building, I had a good friend of mine came over for dinner about 2 years ago, and he's a photographer, Jason Schmidt,
yep.
another like sort of one of my mentors. Did I just say that weird? Mentor?
No, you said
I don't know.
mentor.
Anyway, okay. Um, anyway, he came upstairs and he said, there are Lee Friedlander pictures in your lobby.
You didn't know
And
it.
I just, they look so, I guess it's because you look at it every day and you just don't think, it just looks like lobby art.
Yeah.
But it's Lee Friedlander's pictures of vases of flowers.
Oh shit.
And it comes from this book that, and he made books out of anything. And this was a perfect example. He had knee surgery. He was pent up in his house like we all are. And he took pictures of like the flowers people sent him. And
Hmm.
it was just the vases, and he called it stems because it was like his stems were being operated. He had broken stems at the time. His legs were down, and he was. He couldn't move around, and there he is, just still churning out work, a new way of looking
Because he
at his
needed that
screen.
feeling, man. He needed that. It's like his drug, man. He like needed that, like just to do it. It's like that,
Yeah,
like sense of accomplishment or something. Like you're like, oh man, I did. At least for me, like it's like, oh, I did something today.
yeah, man, it's like a bowel movement.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, nothing like a good dump, man. Like a solid dump, man. That's you can't go wrong with that, dude.
Yeah, man. It's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, he to me he sets the standard for just someone who lived their life every day on a work schedule. He would go. You'd see him in I'd see him at Photo Care in the city with the super wide around his neck, coming in with the safari jacket on, and he'd shoot a certain, like, it was on a regiment. You'd shoot and then process and then print every
Did you
day.
ever did you ever talk to him?
Never talked to him, but I think that's kind of right before the pandemic hit. I was, work had really fallen off, and I was. Are we okay for time? Are you all right? Am I
Dude,
blowing your pants up?
this is awesome, man. I'm having a fucking blast, dude.
I can't imagine. It's
You
so
tell
weird.
me, I don't want to take up your time.
No, dude. I'm horrified of this. Are you old enough to remember voice message machines? Like,
Yeah, definitely, man. I just turned 36 last week.
So you're not old enough to have had like one of those voice machines, like for like if you're not home and you
That you had to
before
put the
cell
cassette
phone.
in or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably had it like when I was a kid, but I wasn't like using it myself. Yeah.
I remember hearing my voice in someone's, just for like leaving a message, and I was just like, could never listen to my voice again. Now we're gonna have like this fucking hour-long like scar.
Dude, but people are gonna love it, dude. See, I used to think like that, but I was like, I don't give a fuck, dude. This is how I sound, man. This is me. This is you, man. This is me. We're fucking here.
Yeah. Well, all right. So what I was saying though was that before the pandemic, I took to the streets, like, it was like I had to tell my wife I was doing something, and I would go into Midtown, like around Port Authority, which is really the most untainted part of New York that's still got some grit. It's kind of like,
if you ever want to see it, dude, I've said this before, Hell's Waiting Room is the Port Authority bus, the eating area where they got the fucking consent.
sure.
Dude, it is so nasty, dude.
Sure. And that fans out like all the way up into the Garment District. We used to play music on 38th Street with David Fraud, the printer. We used to be in a band together, and it was just, 30, like that whole part is just so, people come in to service the rich people in New York, and then they go out, and then there's all the stuff that just kind of just gets stuck around that thing there. And so I was walking around, and I gave myself certain parameters, certain like boundaries that I was going to just walk within that, in that landscape at a certain time of day with a Lee Friedlander, the super wide. Do you know his work well? Like, he had this one Hasselblad that was.
I know, man. Your mom shoots with one. I saw it on your Instagram.
You really did your homework, huh?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
The 903, man.
The 903. Yes, is that what it is? No, wait. No. The 903 is the regular one, isn't it?
No, that's the regular one's, like the 500 series. So
it's 903. You're right. Wow.
Yep.
Right on, homie.
I researched it before because I went through your Instagram, and then I researched the camera. I've seen it before. I've never shot with it though.
Okay, so I mean, that camera's that's some shit. It's like, it's an architectural camera where I guess it's like a 38 millimeter or 35. But if you were to put that on a regular Hasselblad, it wouldn't be. It would have to. It's kind of like modified so that you could still look through the mirror. Yeah. But there's no mirror. It's just stuck on, and I've ripped the viewfinder off so that I could put like a transmitter for the flash. Yeah. So I'm basically shooting with this thing, guessing at the distance, and shooting from like my heart level or like lower, but I'm not looking through the camera at all. And I just was obsessed with shooting people in the streets, because I felt like this was, yeah, what is that?
Yeah, that's the one you're shooting with, right?
That's it.
Super wide.
Mm-hmm. It's made for architecture. It's purely like one application. When Friedlander did it for portraits, it was something that like broke down. It was like, that was a radical thing. Mm-hmm. So if it's like, it's a really ordinary kind of lens or perspective unless you force unless something's really up in the foreground.
Yep.
So I was shooting people and letting them get within 2 to 3 feet of me, which is highly like it's dubious on legally, like ethically, like just in a lot of ways.
Not if you talk to Bruce Gilden, that motherfucker will be like up in their nose, and then
yeah,
like, and they'll be like, "Don't take my fuck you. This is my sidewalk."
Yeah, but he's also 6 something, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. God, oh God, yeah. Some woman like spat on me. I mean, I always got some, but I could feel like street photography was going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it, like, I felt like things were, people's reactions, the way people, who you could look at, who you can't, like, who you could, if you can get close. It was right before Me Too, and right before, like, the whole way we interact was going to change. And then it changed it even more, like, into the pandemic. And then with BLM and, like, even all the politics of who has the right to photograph in the protests and all, like, it's so politicized, just the right to see things. And I was like, I know there's something here. I got to get up in people's faces and do this thing. And so for, like, I don't know, it was almost like 2 years I did that. And I printed it like about 3 months ago, right at the end of 4 months. It was in the summer. And I had it all up on the wall, and I couldn't get anybody to look at it.
Really?
No one can come over. No one will come over.
Oh yeah, true.
But it was definitely like I don't know why I did it, but I knew that it had to be like just who needs more street photography, right? Especially with like the Lee Friedlander. I mean, it was just basically taking his camera, putting it in, just doing it today. And I guess I modified it with the light. It's like if someone's within 2 feet of you walking by, the perspectival velocity is so fast that even at a 500th of a second, there's still going to be a little bit of blur. So I was trying to really freeze things. You got to deal with like flash and flash duration, all that stuff.
Yep.
And then it only works at a certain type of day if you want like maximum depth of field. So it was always the same when the sun was in the peak at its apogee. And there were all these, I don't know, man, that was the most fun I've had, like doing a side project.
You think you want to do some more of that, like street photography stuff that's kind of roaming around New York, or you kind of
with the masks and
yeah, not right now, yeah.
And it's just too, it's not like, now it is changed. That was like while it was changing, and it was kind of still the best of old New York, and now it's almost too much for me.
My one pet peeve now is pictures when people are holding their phones, which is everybody now. I fucking hate that in pictures, dude. I hate it, dude. It drives me nuts. It's one of those things. But
have you seen Jeff Mermelstein's feed on Instagram?
Oh, is that when he's like on the he like sneaks pictures of people's text messages while they're on the
God, it's so good.
At first I was like, wait, is he like photoshopping, or are these like real conversations? I was like, but I think it's all real. Like,
it's all real, man. He's creepy, dude. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah,
but
dude.
The coffee joint on my corner, Joe, I met this kid, what's his name? I don't know. He's the barista there, but he hit me to this whole culture of these young street photographers, and they're all shooting film, like with Leicas and Konicas.
Oh yeah, Andre Wagner, you know his work at all? He's a New York guy.
Yeah, so that's like one of the guys. That's like one of his friends.
Then Daniel Arnold, he's another guy who's out there doing it. He shoots like street photography, but his stuff is all flash. Yeah, but yeah, there's some guys out there doing it.
They're really serious about it,
Oh yeah, dude. They're like, oh yeah, all Leica, all black and white. Like, yeah, it's yeah, I think it's important to do that work. It's not gonna look the way that like all the old school guys, just because the way the world is now is different. Like we were saying, like people dress different. They got their cell phones, but it's the same thing, but it's a new thing at the same time, I guess.
And there's something even they're not, they're not gonna have any kind of like they're not gonna sell these pictures. they're not going to get them printed in magazines.
Yeah.
It's not like what we were talking about, like, I want to get the cover and this. They're strictly doing it
Purist.
pure. And that's, that's something that for me, I mean, I can't wait to see that kid at the coffee place. It's just,
Fuck
it's
yeah, dude. That's like, yeah, I really appreciate that more than anything. Like when I like lucky like talk to a lot of photographers doing this is like I don't even care like if someone shot whatever like cover or anything, but it's just the people that truly fucking love this shit. Because there's definitely some people that the love fades away and that's fine. Like your life changes and you get into other stuff. But the people that are like this fucking diehards, man, I love that shit. It just gets me pumped. Like.
well, it's like kind of like do you ever hear of a doctor just giving up being a doctor? It's like I don't know, photography, you do it. You don't just stop.
Yeah.
This is such an unbelievable way of going through the day. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, what a gift to be able to. I don't know how people are going to make a living though from it.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I need like a fucking side hustle, dude. I'm always doing random shit, man. Like a couple years ago, I was like, I don't know, at least for me, like in Boston, like this is the time of year where my business just starts to fucking lull. Like the winter time, holidays, New Year's, there's at least for me, there's usually never a lot of stuff going on. So I'm always just looking for a good side hustle around this time of the year sometimes.
So what do? You do weddings or anything?
I've done that. Shit, I did Postmates for a while. I'll just go deliver food or whatever. I don't care. Uh worked like worked at Lowe's for a while, just like in the evenings from like 6 to 10 p.m. That was a while back, but yeah, whatever. Luckily this year I got some savings, so hopefully I won't have to do it. But it's just that grind, man. Just to hopefully just keep shooting photos and do whatever you gotta do, you know?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the streets are a great place to find inspiration for sure, because whatever's in your heart or in your whatever inside you, you can find it out on the street if you really look for
Mhm.
it. It's like, there's so much. It's like it's like the ocean. You can just, it's infinite, and then there's a rhythm to it, and whatever's in the back of your brain,
Mhm.
it's probably populating some of the streets that you walk on. You're just not noticing it. It's
Definitely.
at least New York City street. I don't know about Massachusetts. I don't know about that.
Dude, you like where I live, it's just like a little town, but I like it, man. It's a different. I still get inspired by it, and I've actually been
Mhm.
making a point just walking around this like, because even if you live in like a small town or wherever, you're just there's so much stuff you just walk by or drive by in your day to day, and you don't a lot of times don't slow down to really like think about it. Like, oh damn,
Right.
this building has really been here forever, and this business has been here forever, and like that's my new thing. I'm trying to shoot like some stuff around my town. That's like the one thing I've been doing because I can't really travel anywhere right now. So that's where I'm trying to just figure out something. I don't even know what it's gonna be, but it's just been kind of wandering around. They shoot with the Hasselblad and just kind of yeah, like almost like you were saying, just going out there and make it a point of like just doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to find a hero somehow. I feel like that's always my advice for people who want to have a discussion about like how to make a book or something. I feel like, if you look at the work of like Noctway or all those big like
Warp.
mag guys, they in the end you have the monograph is just a picture of all these different pictures from war torn, I don't know, famine afflicted places, and it's the only consistent thread is the heroism of the photographer. But it's
Yeah.
not like, how do you, for somebody to really be absorbed in a story, there has to be a hero
Yep.
in your, and I always thought like that. Who was it? The country doctor. Eugene Smith.
Yep.
Which was, they told me it was like the first photojournalistic story ever. Still the strongest one. Do you remember those pictures of like
No, I'll have to check that out.
it's the Greeks. It's like, it's the first one. It's all there. And
Damn.
it was total propaganda, but Eugene. I mean, have you seen the documentary on Eugene Smith?
No, I gotta check that out.
He was living in a house that he set up with microphones and cameras, and he was just a speed freak, like inviting
Wow.
in all the greatest jazz musicians of that time, and he was just compulsively recording it. And when he wasn't doing that, he was shooting out his window.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I think I got it right here. I got some of it right here. I'll pull it up. I think this is what you're talking about. One sec.
Yes, that's it.
Damn.
But keep there. I love that, him after like some surgery in somebody's house.
Fucking gnarly. He's got like a tube coming out of his back. Yeah, this shit's raw as fuck.
Right, and it's all totally set up. Look at that picture. That one with the kid has been stepped on by a horse.
This stuff's all set up.
It's all set. I mean, no. I mean, I guess it's things would happen, but he would have all the lights set up. He had a whole political agenda that they were trying to socialize medicine in a sense, and this was his argument against it. Like the country doctor was going to be made obsolete.
Wow.
And he went in with a script. I mean, it's all there. It's basically fake news, all the stuff that we talk about now.
Damn, that's wild. Yeah. Stuff don't change. It's still how it was.
I mean, I don't know why, photography is so real that people think it sets the standard for authenticity. But whenever I was working on stuff, I had no problem changing things the way they were to make it a more compelling picture. I was never hung up on like, oh, it's got to be real and it's got to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Deep thoughts. It's pretty late, Alex. What time is it?
10:12. Yeah, no, I've been enjoying talking to you, man. I don't want to take up any more of your time if you gotta go.
No, I'm good. I can talk forever, Alex.
All right, I got a couple more questions to you, and I'll let you go because it is late.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I had to ask about you photographed Bill Clinton, but it was a really interesting picture. It was like he was like sitting on this white wall or something, and it looks like you kind of shot him like with like on camera flash. What was kind of the scenario photographing him?
So that was just a job for another, like an art director who's another person that I worked with I work with through the years.
Yeah.
An Austrian guy is another mentor in a way, who really directed my career in a lot of senses. And he sent me to Haiti to photograph Bill Clinton and all the, I don't know, what do you call it, humanitarian work that Bill Clinton was doing there. And, love Bill Clinton or hate, but, of course he is who he is, but the Haitians hated him. And we were there, and Sean Penn was there, like his understudy. And we were walking through malaria. We shot the sort of commercial cover, and then we were just there covering him as he was going through his like press junkets through malaria hospitals and everything. And yeah, man, I was just in with like what do they call it? The pit of paparazzis and everything. Damn. And just fired that off. He didn't like me because I asked him, we had shot him next to a tree, and I asked him if he would hug the tree.
And he just gave you like a dirty look or something?
He was just like, what the fuck?
The fuck are you saying? I'm a president, motherfucker.
Oh man, I remember there was some. What was the problem? There was some kind of one of those pictures he didn't like or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. He wanted his Under Armour like insignia like to not be retouched, or we retouched it, or there was something there that. But yeah, what a rock star, man. I mean, with the helicopter coming in and Sean Penn and then.
What how do you? I mean, like, all right. Like, what have like been some of the most challenging shoots for you? Like when you look back, I mean, it's probably hard. Like because you're dealing with all different types of personalities. Like when you look back, is there one that you kind of remember back and you're like, damn, that was a tough day, or this trying to like navigate through it, or is there like one that kind of sticks out in mind? You think?
No, man, they were all kind of fun.
That's the attitude, man.
No, how bad can it be? I mean, it's not like, we're not breaking stones in the hot sun.
True.
but I think, as the years progressed, the more like sex and death kind of content, like just the fashion stuff, got to be a little more like weighed heavier on me at the end of the day. It's not because it's just low vibration stuff, where you're just selling
clothes and expensive stuff
with no reason, and kind of just you're just it's like you shoot in Paris and these places that have no ventilation. You're in a studio there's no in or out with air.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's smoking, and everybody is just hair and shoes, and you're on the ground, like, just getting the perspective, and it's just long. I don't know. It's just, nobody's happy.
You'd rather be at the Port Authority bus station than shooting people's like backsides and random shit, right?
That's right, man, for sure. But
right
anyway, whatever. That stuff is good too. The fashion stuff, it definitely prepares you to. There's fashion in even in pictures like the Port Authority. Fashion subtends everything. It's the most surface. The most external parts go the deepest. I don't know. Did you ever shoot like fashion?
Not really. I never got into fashion. I have this conversation with my buddy who's in New York, and he loves the fashion work, and he's always telling me interview more fashion photographers. I'm just like I don't know. It's never really like Avedon. I love Avedon's work, but his fashion stuff, I could care less. Like, it just doesn't do anything for me.
Right. But I have to say, man, if you look at in the American West, and most of his pictures that he considered his art pictures,
in
the American West is a fashion study, man.
You're right.
People's clothes are, and he definitely was in there tweaking it and styling it, and was taking pictures around the all the accoutrement. That was the thrust of that photo essay, was the mode, the fashion of that time.
No, that's I was back. I talked to my friend again. I was like, I'm gonna try to keep an open mind. I'm gonna try to talk to some more fashion photographers. That's my goal in the next year, just to talk to some more people and get a better understanding of like why so many people enjoy it. Because it's like, I think that's like a common like thing. Like, people get into photography and they're like, I want to be a fashion photographer. It's like it's
right. But who it's who wants to look at a fashion picture now? Yeah. Nobody, man. It's some toxic like realm of photography now. It used to be this the place, it was almost higher than art. It was like it was art, but it was involved in culture. It was like it was the highest you could get. And now it's just, nobody wants to be involved in like a 8-page editorial selling clothes people can't afford. It just
I can't. It's always like, I love Esquire. They have great photography, but I can't relate to it. It's like, check out this $1,200 belt, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to
right.
It's not the diss on it. Yeah, I'm just trying to like understand like more like why people are drawn to it. But yeah, it's just another lane in photography, and I gotta learn more about it.
Right. It's intense that just you go into that world, and you don't realize it. You're really, when they say you're there to sell clothes, it's like you could have the most unbelievable moment, and like everything's right, and the silhouette is wrong on the clothing, or it's forget it.
Yep.
You got to throw it out.
Yep.
So it's an interesting way of an interesting discipline for sure.
Yeah. And I guess last question to wrap up, man. What's next for you, man? Anything you're kind of hoping to work on? I know obviously it's a crazy year, but hopefully things start to turn around. But what's next for you, man?
Well, I'm trying to get my chops together on making prints, because I feel like that's something that's going to feel good for me, and also I think it's something that people are going to be interested in, like buying prints and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to figure out how to make those things special, like do it in a special way rather than just some kind of Epson, which isn't so bad either. I didn't know, but I don't know. I'm going into that right now.
Oh,
You make Epson prints, right?
Yeah, I just got my little Epson, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had a darkroom in my garage for a while. I don't have it running right now. But yeah, it's been printing. I buy the Moab like rag paper, and I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it. I enjoy it, but yeah, the darkroom stuff's definitely way better.
So maybe I don't know. It's like I'm trying to appreciate the Epson thing too right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have any projects that are. I want to continue taking pictures in the street of like with the backdrop set up. I just don't know if it's too cold for people. Is it too cold for people to take pictures in the street?
You mean like literally like the temperature?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck no, man. I'll be out there. I was outside today, man. It was like 50, 45 degrees. I don't as long as it's not windy, man. I mean, that's when you probably get some cool pictures when shit's looking crazy.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's New York City. People are on the street regardless if it's 2 degrees or 50, right?
I guess but they got to stand still, and it's like it's not enjoyable. I don't know if it's enjoyable. I don't know. I don't know what that.
Yeah.
I tried it, so I'm going to try that. Just I still like the street thing. It's like nobody wants to go inside, so that's working in my favor, I guess.
I like it, man. Well, you got me motivated. I'm gonna channel my inner Alexei and leave Freelander. I'm gonna fucking just start walking around town, getting to fucking work. It might all suck, but I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna start making some more shit.
Yeah, light bouncing off skin through glass onto silver.
Right on. Well, I think that's a good point to end it. Man, real pleasure talking to you, dude. I can't thank you enough. This is a real fun one.
Thank you, Alex. It was really fun to do this. I never did this before.
Good, dude. Well, stay in touch, man. And if this pandemic ever ends, I'll hit you up when I get to New York next time.
Absolutely.
Peace, man.
Cool. All right.
Later.
So there you have it. That was the Alexei Hay interview. Just want to thank Alexei so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. Really enjoyed talking to him. Just incredible photographer and has accomplished a lot. And just yeah, man, you can tell he loves photography from talking to him and knows the history of it and just has real appreciation for the craft. So I can't thank him enough. Definitely go check out Alexei's website at alexeihay.com and feel free to follow him on Instagram at Alexei Hay. Lots of cool photos he's been posting up there, this kind of projects and assignments, so definitely go give him a follow. And as always, I'll be having weekly podcasts every week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, as well as the Photo Banter YouTube page. So feel free to go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe. We'd much appreciate it. And yeah, thanks so much for listening and take care.